Hello Michi family, what's up? It's your King G-Fan at 112, and today I'm going to do something a little bit different today, which are theory videos and also like what if videos and stuff like that. So this one's going to be about what if Rodan teamed up with Godzilla and Mothra against King Ghidorah. Now, it's been like 3 years since Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, and not a lot of people were happy with Rodan's role in the movie. For me, I was fine with it. I mean, I made a theory back then when the movie was still in development.
The reason why I think that Rodan is going to team up with King Ghidorah is, well, because he's called the Devil of the Skies, Demon of the Sky. That Rodan might team up with King Ghidorah, so Mothra and Godzilla might be the only ones who are the heroes. If they beat him up, he just might at least surrender, you know?
And I was right. Yeah, that actually became a thing in the movie. I mean, you know, just because Godzilla and Mothra had a symbiotic relationship, and also because Rodan became a meme. Okay, he became a freaking meme because of his role in the movie. Now, I didn't even realize that at the time until time went on. Now, honestly, I wouldn't say that Rodan's weak, but he's not really that strong either, in my opinion. Now, in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, we saw that Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra fought Ghidorah together, but in King of the Monsters, it was a 2v2 battle. We actually had concept art of Rodan teaming up against Ghidorah. I mean, you know, this would have been, you know, a much better dynamic, which is why I'm making a video about it. So basically what I'm going to do is change half of Rodan's plot from the movie. The first half is going to be the same from the movie, and the other half is going to be my original version of the movie. So here we go! Rodan wakes up from his volcano in Isla de Mara, right? Then the Argo and the squadron start to provoke him, leading him to be lured to Ghidorah. Of course, the whole squadron gets killed along the way. Otherwise, the Argo has successfully led Rodan to King Ghidorah. And that's when they start fighting. But here is my version of Rodan vs. Ghidorah. So instead of cutting away to the humans, then back to monsters, back to humans, back to monsters, it'll be just Rodan fighting Ghidorah for the whole fight, focusing on them. So when they literally start fighting each other, if you remove the cutaways, then the fight will just be 16 seconds long, because, you know, that's literally how long the fight is without the cutaways. So the fight with the cutaways in general is 1 minute and 8 seconds long. So if it focuses on Rodan fighting Ghidorah, then that's exactly how long the fight would be. But in my cut, if you will, would increase to 1 minute and 30 seconds, only focusing on Rodan and Ghidorah fighting. So Rodan and Ghidorah start fighting basically, and then all of a sudden, you know, Ghidorah gains the upper hand and Rodan loses. So after that, and after he defeated Godzilla as well, he went to Rodan's volcano to let out his alpha call, obviously. Then Rodan flies out of the water to his volcano to be the first kaiju to submit to Ghidorah. And so the world is getting destroyed, and Ghidorah and Rodan are in Washington DC. So while Ghidorah finishes off the rest of Washington DC, Rodan finds another city to destroy. So when Rodan destroys part of that city, Mothra starts coming in and confronting him. Oh yeah, and Rodan fights Mothra in her larva form before that in my version. But no, yeah, you know, they start fighting each other. And it's pretty much just the same as the Boston battle. And when she slammed him into the ground. And so when Rodan slammed Mothra into a skyscraper, instead of him getting impaled in the shoulder by her stinger, Godzilla comes in and bites him on the shoulder just like how he did to the female Muto. Then he throws him away from Mothra. Look at that, another piece of concept art. But then they start fighting each other, with Rodan running over Godzilla with his spiky chest, just like in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, Godzilla vs. MechaGodzilla 2, and Final Wars and stuff like that. Rodan scratches Godzilla with his talons. Godzilla grabs Rodan's leg and slams him to the ground, but he gets back up and starts pecking Godzilla on the head, until he dodges his attacks and tail whips him into the air. Before Rodan could hit the ground, he flew higher and stunned Godzilla with his hurricane winds from his wings, then he pins his head to the ground, screeching to his face. So then Mothra got up from the building, and then she distracted Rodan with one of her cries, and as he flew towards her, she stunned him with her iconic golden powder from her wings. Then Godzilla got back on his feet and shot his atomic breath at Rodan down to the ground. Godzilla looks down at Rodan and snorts at him as he gets back up and looks shocked. But then Godzilla calmly gave Rodan a bellow, convincing him to help him and Mothra stop Ghidorah from destroying the world. Rodan screeches in acknowledgement. So Godzilla gives Rodan a second chance and they all stop fighting. And all three of them head to Boston to confront Ghidorah. Then King Ghidorah came into Boston trying to kill Madison, but then Godzilla stopped him with his atomic breath, and that's when the two would start fighting. So yeah, Godzilla and Ghidorah fought. You know, Mothra came in and fought Ghidorah as well, and you get the whole idea. And then this is when Rodan would come into play, so he'd start off by tackling Ghidorah instead of Mothra. So Rodan, alongside with Godzilla and Mothra, start fighting Ghidorah all together. And the good thing about it is that they don't really cut away to the humans as much like they did in the movie. So fun fact, there's like this little piece of concept art where Rodan breathes fire. It's pretty much inspired by the uranium heat beam from Fire Rodan. But funny thing too, in his debut film, he had something different called the wind breath. And that's it, that never happened again ever since. So in my version, he actually has a breath like that, so it is called the heat wind breath. It's like the wind breath, but super hot. Now, why wouldn't I give him the uranium beam? Well, just cause this isn't necessarily Fire Rodan per se, you know, this is just him waking up from the volcanic slumber, so that's why I gave the breath a little compromise. So he uses it one time each battle, basically. I just don't know why they'd reject something like that. Anyway, back to the final battle. So, all three of them start to fight Ghidorah, and there aren't that many cutaways, like I said, in the final battle, so I think this would be the better deal. So when Ghidorah bites down on the transmission tower and shoots out gravity beams from his wings, Rodan and Mothra fell to the ground but survived. So they got back up and helped Godzilla continue fighting Ghidorah, but they were still losing. Mothra gets tail whipped by Ghidorah's tails. Now she's injured. Then all three heads bite down Rodan really hard, causing him to bleed, then tosses him aside. An enraged Godzilla charged at Ghidorah, throwing a few hands, but then got wrapped around by all three necks. They squeeze really hard, then start throwing him back. As soon as Godzilla gets back up, that's when Ghidorah carries him, then drops him to the ground. Mothra sacrifices her life to Godzilla. So instead of sucking his energy, Ghidorah bites down on Godzilla and electrocutes him. So that's why I changed the hue a little bit. I just made it a little GMK reference. Plus the energy and blood sucking thing is more of Kaiser Ghidorah's thing. So Rodan saw what was happening and knew at that very moment that he had to save Godzilla's life. So then he let out a huge roar that got Ghidorah's attention. He drops Godzilla and is confused of what's going on. Rodan comes at Ghidorah and shoots his heat wind breath at him. Some of Rodan's blood fell into Godzilla, getting absorbed. Ghidorah now chases Rodan into the sky. And this is actually better than him chasing Emma Russell because her death didn't really mean anything other than, you know, her luring Ghidorah away from Godzilla. And why would she like take the orca with her? She literally got herself killed, and I'm not really sure why they would fix it just to lure him away from Godzilla. Like, that doesn't really make any sense at all. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So then they start fighting in the air again, just like how they first encountered. But then Rodan slams Ghidorah into the ground, just like in Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. But Ghidorah shoots his gravity beams at Rodan into a building and they both collapse. Which now he's injured. Ghidorah now has Rodan all to himself. But Rodan says, "Long live the king," and boom, here's Burning Godzilla. Yes, I'm still calling him Burning Godzilla. So before Godzilla releases the thermonuclear pulse from his body, he starts off by shooting the spiral ray from his mouth thanks to Rodan's blood. So Godzilla returns to his normal state and finishes off Ghidorah. And this is when all the kaiju would surround him. So Rodan comes in and coos at Godzilla. He smiles at him, thanking him for saving his life. He smiles back and is happy that he redeemed himself. Rodan willingly bows to Godzilla. The rest of the kaiju do the same. The king has officially returned! And now it finally ends with Rodan flying to hibernate in Mount Fuji. Well guys, that does it for today's fanfic. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, like I said, Rodan, I don't know, like he was okay in the movie, like he could have, been done better, but, I think, this is probably the way that it should have been done. So, I'll admit, some of it I didn't come up with, like, only with the final battle stuff. Like, that was actually inspired by a YouTuber, Godzilla Geek. So, basically, he did a stop-motion remaster of Godzilla King of the Monsters, where Rodan teams up with Godzilla and Mothra. It's really good, like, it's way better than the actual movie. They really served Rodan well. So, Godzilla Geek, if you're watching this, man, good job. Please remaster Godzilla Kong if you can. Not saying you have to, but yeah, dude, you did a really good job. Also, it would also feature Rodan's classic theme and his classic roars, but I mean, it's cool, man. I mean, sure, there were like some, parts with Rodan's classic roar, but we barely got that. It wasn't very consistent. You guys might have seen, where a lot of fans made some videos with Rodan 2019 with classic roars and the classic theme, which I like how they pulled it off. It's really good. So yeah, this is how I thought Rodan should have been done in King of the Monsters. Yeah, Legendary didn't give him that much. I mean, they put him in the movie because, Toho gave them the rights to Rodan, kind of like for Ghidorah and Mothra, which, they have a reason why in the movie, but Rodan, not so much. I mean, we get it, he's one of the monsters that submitted to Ghidorah, but I felt like that should have ended, like, halfway through the movie, just by a battle between him and Godzilla. That would have built a better dynamic between those two, and to, like, help them stop Ghidorah. I mean, I just wanted to make him, like an antagonist to a protagonist. I think that would have been a good compromise. So, specifically, I felt like Rodan, so my version of Rodan had a redemption role. So basically, he was helping out Ghidorah at first, but then, Godzilla gives him a second chance to, redeem himself and everything. I felt like that should have been more like a faithful way for Rodan. But I mean, Legendary did their best, and Toho kind of approved. Like, I mean, that's pretty much the good part about it. So what do you guys think? Do you like Rodan's role in the movie the way it is? Or do you like my version? Like, how would you guys portray Rodan? Well, looks like, Rodan didn't make it in GVK. I didn't really get that much, other than the opening credits saying that he's defeated. There was like a little cameo scene with him and all the other Titans in the graphic novel Godzilla Dominion. But that was it, like, there was nothing else other than that. We're still getting Godzilla vs. Kong 2. Really excited for it. Comes out in 2 years. I really hope that Rodan gets a second chance by helping out Godzilla, being the lieutenant, if you will. So I really hope that, he gets, one more movie at least, like, just like that. I feel like that's how Rodan should work, if they ever do bring him back. But this was really fun to do. Like, I enjoy, doing fanfics. Like, this is my first one, and I'm pretty happy with it. So, alright, this is GFan 912 signing out. Goodbye, Michi family. See you in another video.